Number 3, we have a couple of valuable words and phrases here. We have the phrase "it follows." That tells us that the conclusion is going to follow that sentence. It follows is a conclusion indicator. It also tells us that the sentence that preceded the phrase "it follows" is one of the premises. We also see the word "for" here, and "for" is a premise indicator. It's essentially saying "for the reason that." And so the sentence that follows the word "for" is our other premise. Now, I chose the terms schools driven by careerism, institutions that emphasize liberal arts, and universities, SEU. If you chose different letters to represent your terms, you want to make a quick cross-reference there so you can make sure that your argument looks just like mine. Using these terms to symbolically represent the argument, we get all S are non-E, some non-S are U, therefore some U are not E. We want to use conversion, inversion, and contraposition to eliminate these two-term complements, non-E in the first premise and non-S in the second premise. First premise, we can do so by just obverting the statement. So all S are non-E becomes no S are E. And if we convert and then obvert the second premise in that order, some non-S or U will become some U are not S. Now we have the argument in standard form with our major term up here in the first premise, our minor term appearing here in the second premise, and we can identify all of our distributed terms and then apply the 5 rules for standard form categorical syllogisms. The first rule says that our middle term needs to be distributed at least once. S is our middle term and it's distributed twice, so that's good. Second rule says if you got anything distributed in the conclusion, it needs to be distributed in a premise, and we have that. Third rule says you can't have 2 negative premises. Uh-oh, we just ran into a problem. It looks like this argument is invalid, and if we're judging it correctly, our Venn diagram should reflect the problem, and it does. We mark in areas 3 and 4 to show that no S or E, and then when we try to mark some U or not S, we find ourselves end up with a problem. We could mark that X either in area 5 or area 6, and we don't have any reason to choose one area over the other, so we mark it on the line that separates those two areas, indicating the argument is invalid. When we consult our inventory of valid forms, we're not going to see E, O, O, and figure 1 anywhere. This argument suffers from the fallacy of exclusive premises and is invalid.